bhishthang stapitang yena bhutale Swayam Rupakadam Hyang Dadati Savadantikang Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Samanati Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyvari Paschatya Desha Tarani Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is about enjoyment. This whole course is about enjoyment. And you can tell anyone in the Western culture or global culture that they don't know how to enjoy. Now, if they object that what you're saying is ridiculous, you just say that your enjoyment causes problems in relationships, in your own life, in community life, country, everything. So then they object further. So no, my enjoyment is fine. So then why is that in this culture in which we're trying to enjoy, we're destroying nature? There's the proof of the inability of people to enjoy. So everybody wants to enjoy. And we have the solution. There's 3 kinds of enjoyment. Tama, Sattva, Tama, Raja, and Sattva. So this is the 4th lesson on philosophy. So why do we need philosophy? Philosophy is, according to the Greeks and ancient Indian philosophies, all these different Nyayaka and Mimamsa, all these things, none of those are followed anymore. Only Vedanta. The Shaivas, the Vaishnavas, the Shaktas, they follow Vedanta. And there may be some minor groups that follow something else. All Vedanta. So all this Mimamsa, all that stuff. No need. For modern, to deal with modern people. And in the West, nobody follows these Greek and French philosophies. Yes, they may have some influence, subtle influence, but better to understand philosophy in terms of what's functioning now. So philosophy means love of wisdom, but currently means the study of knowledge and reality. So knowledge and reality. It's essential to know what defines reality for people. What defines Vaishnava reality is our knowledge. It's Vedanta, Vedas, Puranas, Bhagavad Gita. So in the past, science was a branch of philosophy. Now scientists want to distance themselves from philosophy. That's because science obtains knowledge from empiricism or observation. They think that everyone else who has any say in the physical universe could be wrong, because if they don't base their knowledge on observation, they could be wrong. So this is the way with practically every knowledge school. We have to understand how they base their understanding of reality, because how can we discuss with them philosophically? We say, well, it's in the Vedas. They say, well, we only accept by observation. So we have to understand fundamentally how they define reality. So religions, ideology, science, and all philosophies are schools of knowledge. Schools of knowledge define perceptions of reality. So this section of the course looks at the major schools of knowledge. Major schools meaning schools that are functioning today, not dead schools, historical schools. functioning within modern global culture, compares them with Vaishnava culture in terms of their impact on nature, because nature is the defining, observable truth. We can say that this is observable. That people in the modern world, they want observable, because basically they're lokayata, like the ancient philosophy. Charvaka Muni was lokayata philosophy. That means they don't accept anything but observation. So they have to be defeated. In India, lokayata philosophy was defeated more than 2,000 years ago. So we also must defeat this philosophy. Prabhupada, we say, Shunyavadi, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. So knowledge acquisition. We're not really concerned about all the branches of philosophy. Philosophy can be very subtle in different areas, but we're mainly concerned about pramanas. Knowledge acquisition is through pramana. So each school accepts certain proofs that establish knowledge or the truth, and that defines reality. So, for example, science acquires knowledge through observation and experimentation. In democracy, social reality is created through votes and public discourse. So this democracy creates a kind of reality for actually probably the majority of people around the world. I don't know how many people participate in democracy, but democracy forms a kind of reality for people. In Vaishnavism, knowledge ultimately comes from the Vedas. So those who follow the Vedas accept 4 proofs of the truth. In Vaishnava culture, we generally say 3. Pratiksha, Anumana, and Shabda. But there's Aitihya, a testimony of experts, tradition, and culture. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, Aranyaka, Taittiriya Aranyaka, this Aitihya is accepted, which is testimony of experts, tradition, and culture. Srila Prabhupada explains, Chaitanya Charitamrita rejects mundane Aitihya, but Prabhupada explains that Aitihya, or culture, tradition that's based on parampara, is valid. This is a short class. This is probably end in about 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So scientific method, that you know. Science is based on observation, ideas, inspiration, gut feeling, or hypotheses are tested. Then testing involves experimentation. If the results show that the hypothesis was correct, then those are shared with other scientists. They have to verify the results to accept it as a valid theory, and a theory is proof of an aspect of physical reality that has been verified. A theory can change, but it's considered the best currently available description of reality. However, the Vedas explain that the entire creation, this so-called physical reality, is Maya. That means it's temporary and ultimately a false reality. Empirical science is concerned only with the physical world. Thus, empirical scientists make a mistake. Their investigations and concerns are misplaced. They are deluded by Maya's illusion, Maya Pratigyana. Now, inspiration. In chapter 7 of Sariputa's mechanistic and non-mechanistic science, he just talks about inspiration, which is beyond the definition of science. Scientists can't define, there are at least 2 things they can't define. I'm sure many things, but 2 essential items. One is inspiration, the other is life. They have no clear definition. They have no observable definition of life. Some scientists say that life is probably a combination of chemicals that ensures survival or that impels the entity toward survival. So that's their that's their fundamental definition of life, survival. So they don't care like we do about knowledge and enjoyment. We say that knowledge and enjoyment are an intrinsic part of life, the soul. But this is inspiration. Inspiration is needed for scientific hypotheses and for artistic expressions like music composition or an art creation. So science speculates on the origin of inspiration. They cannot explain why or how humans receive sparks of inspiration. They have some idea based on knowledge of the brain, what of course they don't have complete understanding of the brain and the mind, but what they know, to the extent they know, they try to explain inspiration. But Sariputta explains that their explanations are normally the probabilistic chance of their explanations being valid or it's not correct. Just like the probability of the universe and life happening by random is highly unlikely, although they reject that. Richard Dawkins is a famous biologist and advocate of the theory of evolution. He says that it's a miracle. So they're willing to accept that life and the universe happened randomly as a miracle, which seems ridiculous since they don't believe in miracles. They have faith that such a miracle happened. Seems like a ridiculous proposition. So class is almost finished. The next lesson, more on inspiration, the same topic. Sariputta saw fit to describe it. Now, Sariputta is gone, but the Bhaktivedanta Institute in Gainesville is completely dedicated to Sariputta's perspective on preaching and preaching Krishna consciousness through science. Just like Calcutta there's a Bhaktivedanta Institute there completely dedicated to Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj. Two different perspectives in ISKCON, how to preach, which is, in my opinion, a good thing. The more ways we're trying to preach normally. Some people have ideas that are too far afield. In my opinion, there are strategies, since I'm telling you my opinion, there's strategy and philosophy. Philosophy can't be changed, even in the service of strategy. Sometimes great acharyas can make minor modifications to philosophy in order to achieve a strategic advantage, but normally we're not great acharyas. Normally we should never change philosophy. But strategy, we can have different strategies. So the next lesson is more inspiration, and we'll discuss religion, democracy, capitalism, socialism, and schools of knowledge in general. I'll just say about religion, I don't like to use the word religion because it's because it's identified with the Semitic religion, the Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. So when people say religion, that's the identification. Some scholars say that the word religion, they agree that the word religion should not be used because that's the way people identify it like that. And within certain traditions, like within the Vedantic tradition, Vedic tradition, we use the word dharma. Dharma doesn't translate directly to religion, although yes, Prabhupada does translate Dharma into religion, but he generally says something like religious principles or duty. There are other aspects of Dharma that that don't precisely correspond with the modern definition of religion. So I prefer reverence to the higher order, that those who revere a higher order, whether it's pantheistic, polytheistic, henotheistic, monotheistic, whatever, reverence to a higher order. So ending again with the essence, the root cause of environmental problems is overconsumption or greed. It can be controlled only through enjoyment that pervades the culture. So this is the hook. This is where in preaching we can attract people. It's through enjoyment. You don't know how to enjoy. That's why the culture is causing problems in the environment. So, and if you really knew how to enjoy, there wouldn't be problems with the environment. So now you have to look at yourself and your culture. You have to look at yourself and see, is your enjoyment really helping you and your relationships, your family, your society, your culture? You have to look at yourself and see there's a way to experience a higher enjoyment. So, enjoyment that pervades the culture. Exploitative and destructive enjoyment pervades modern culture. So modern culture must be changed. It's not possible to, modern culture has selfishness at its root. It's not possible to take that out without changing to another culture, other values, other traditions. So in terms of the environment, reuse, reduce, and recycle are not effective, as laws, technologies, and treaties are also not. But Vaishnava culture has a solution because they understand levels of enjoyment. What's tamasic enjoyment is selfish, highly selfish, ignorant, intoxicated. So people are addicted, they're intoxicated with consumption, overconsumption. So this is a tamasic culture. Unless, of course, occasionally it may rise up to become rajasic. But there's no sattvic aspect to this culture, except maybe a few people are worshiping Vishnu. Sattvic means that people are going along with the plan of Vishnu. So this is our introduction. Service. Even the devatas, they serve Vishnu. So unless somebody is serving Vishnu, it's not sattvic. So this is as devotees, we're introducing selfless service to Vishnu, as opposed to selfish, tamasic exploitation of nature and exploitation of others. If somebody learns how to enjoy according to Vaishnava enjoyment, that can improve relationships, it can improve every aspect of individual, familial, and social life. Any comment? We're finishing way early. So in terms of personal development, I feel that this has more direct relationship to the soul, because the soul is Satchit Ananda. In Krishna consciousness, because Prabhupada emphasized consciousness, and, which is related to Chit, and because life comes from life, tends to not emphasize Ananda, but contrary to tradition, in this presentation, this entire presentation regarding social change, the environment, and individual change, I'm emphasizing Ananda, which is not against our philosophy. Ananda Moyo Bhyasat is certainly part of our philosophy. Anandam Buddhivardhanam is Shikshastic, but it's slightly different from the preaching or the kind of strategy that. So I'm not changing philosophy, but I'm trying to change strategy somewhat. And it's especially directed at youth, because old people don't care about and they don't have environmental concerns as much as youth. Although it's the old people we saw from the charts yesterday, from 1970 until the present, the environment or the exploitation of the earth has become increasingly more. So that's on the old people. That's what they've done, but they're in denial. So young people know that, but they have to change their enjoyment.
So, when we say that the environment is getting ruined because of overconsumption and selfish attribute of humans,
Yes.
so people might argue that this, like this likeliness to do more or to get more for oneself, it is the cause that the material development is happening. You know, we want to travel throughout the globe. That's why we built aircraft.
Yes.
Right? We wanted to, serve chicken, like non-veg, to huge masses. That's why now we have sophisticated poultry farms. So, as per their understanding, this is material advancement. But we are saying that this is not advancement. So it's kind of an indigestion problem that they'll have. So what is, like, they'll not understand this, that this is not enjoyment. So what is the first level of understanding we'll give them, that see, what you are doing is not enjoyment? Should we give them statistics, or should we give them case studies? Like, what should be our approach towards that? Because their understanding of success is very different from ours.
Yes. Well, somebody who has such a strong objection may not be the right person to, because people are definitely in denial. But if somebody understands that like for example, airplanes, it's well understood that airplanes cause a lot of problems as far as the pollution is concerned. So if people are in denial, they say, oh, no, that's good that we fly. We want to fly all these places, or we want to have slaughterhouses. Then they may not understand. You might want to limit it to, are you really enjoying life? Are you satisfied?
Yeah, because they also say, like, even previous President of America said that he doesn't believe in global warming.
President of?
America, USA.
Uh-huh.
He said that he doesn't believe in global warming.
I mean Trump.
Trump,
Yeah.
So, so like the perspective of materialists is like, if Earth is gonna be very bad place to live after 100 years, they don't care for that. They care like how they're living right now, and they believe in science.
The thing is that global warming is very controversial. I try to avoid global warming. I never use it in my book because it's politically controversial. But there's another serious problem that might be useful, is water, that humans are depleting the sources of water. It depends on which city, which area, but humans need a lot of water, especially in cities. So, and they depend on groundwater. So some cities, like I was living in Bangalore, so I was investigating the groundwater. So yes, Bangalore is one of the cities. I don't know about New York. I know Los Angeles. They deplete the groundwater. So it takes hundreds, sometimes thousands of years to replenish the groundwater when they deplete it. So that means that maybe they don't accept those studies. Maybe they say, oh, well, there's controversy around that. So they can go on and on about controversies. But better to be on the offensive rather than just try to present. If somebody has an argument and tries to present, and you just try to present, well, here's a fact or figure, but you have to understand where the person is coming from. So if they're in denial, then it's just perhaps the only thing you can say is that selfish people like you are destroying the earth. And here, take some prasadam. Or maybe you don't need to say like you, but you can say selfish people are destroying the earth. Not through exploiting humanity, but exploiting nature. And another thing people don't understand is that in America, people complain about the 1% of Americans, 1 or 2% of Americans who have all the wealth. But what they don't understand is that Americans are the 1 or 2% of the world. So the world has the right to complain about Americans in the same way that Americans are complaining about these people. So basically Americans are especially the ones that are in denial about destroying the earth. But I think it's better if somebody is challenging, better not take the position of, well, we can show all these statistics. Try to go on the offense a little bit, but that kind of person probably won't listen very much anyway. So young people, they're more inclined to be receptive.
So there are one more question, sorry. So in India, there is one spiritual teacher known as Sadhguru.
Yes.
He's doing some mission Save Soil, right? But he's not talking about culture at all.
No.
And he's connecting a lot of communities to save soil. So how
Yes.
is our mission different from his?
Our mission is different from his because in India, in general, the government is not encouraging these kinds of discussions about culture. Well, anywhere, I guess. But in India, the concepts of the environmental concepts are a little new. Indian government doesn't like the European and United Nations suggestions about the environment. So they do a little bit to suppress those ideas. So the fact that he's talking about saving land is a little bit unique. He's picking up on some of these European ideas. So it's kind of, oh, I'm doing something different here. But it's not really that much different from what people are trying to do in the West, in Europe, the United States. I think that he's very good. I don't know that much about him, but I know a little about him. He seems to be very good at finding some popular ideas. So I don't think we should worry too much about him. He's not, I don't think he's very popular in the West like some gurus like Maharishi used to be popular in my youth. but I don't think he's more popular in India. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, so people might ask that.
So people like that come and go also. The thing is that ISKCON has the advantage, we have a big organization, and for all the faults that ISKCON has, our organization can live on generation by generation. Like any organization, we have problems. But these individual charismatic figures, when they die, then you don't hear much about their followers. It's very difficult for another charismatic follower to take the place. Maharishi was an exception. I think he was follower of Shivananda or somebody like that. So Shivananda was charismatic. Then Maharishi was, but then Maharishi died, and then he has a big organization, but really it's not that impactful. ISKCON has the potential to continually grow, and ISKCON is a worldwide organization. There's nothing else like that. So even if Sadhguru gets some following or something, I don't think it's very serious. Yeah, so land preservation. People try to do all these things, but it's very difficult. This is not the way the culture is going. So they want to do something that's basically just for show, or plant a lot of trees. But it's well known that when you cut down a forest, that destroys the whole ecosystem. Just planting trees is not going to be effective. The whole ecosystem has to be built. So all these ideas, fixing the land or the trees or cleaning the plastic out of the water. If you clean the plastic out of the water, it's still, you have plastic. So these things are ineffective. We have to establish the Sankirtan culture first. I was just talking to Adikarta about how we going to set the example as devotees. I said, well, we're followers of yajna. That from Vedic times, the yajna is purifying. So we're not Jains. The Jains sweep everything. So people may criticize, oh, you're not sweeping the insects. I'm saying this as analogist. You're using plastic. Yeah, we're using plastic. We're not sweeping in front of us for all the insects. We're relying on yajna to purify. So yajna means all the followers of Vedas, Vaishnavas, Shaivas, all the followers, they rely on yajna. That's the meaning of Hindu. Otherwise, you're a Jain or a Buddhist. Yajna, we follow yajna. The power, the purifying power of yajna. So our yajna is Sankirtan yajna. And the basis of Vaishnava culture is Lila and Nama, which is Sankirtan yajna, glorifying Lila and Nama. So based on that purifying effect, and the side effect of it is, a couple of side effects. One is to reestablish the culture, which learns how to be satisfied with less, enjoy with less. That's a practical side effect of yajna. I mean, we accept the transcendental aspect, that yajna helps us to become free from material attachment and attached to something spiritual. But just the two side effects, observable side effects. One is that learning how to become satisfied and enjoy less consumption. Two, yajna redirects money. That's very practical. So we take $1 million and put it in Rath Yatra. So somebody was going to enjoy with that $1 million. Somebody was going to use that for their greed. So we want to redirect all the money. That's yajna. Arjuna went all over the world, and he's, what is it? What's his name? For Dhanurdhar, right? Because he got all the money. Dhanur. Huh? Dhananjay, yes. So he got all the money. So we follow Arjuna. We want all the money to use. Why was he getting the money? Yagya. Sankirtan Yagya. Yep. Makes sense? Yagya first. Sankirtan Yagya first, and then agrarian economy.